My 31F mom, 58F, is blackmailing family for money. I confronted her and she has since blocked me and turned my family against me. My mom has become increasingly bitter and angry over the last few years. She holds grudges and pushes everyone out of her life. I believe she has borderline personality disorder, and I've recommended that she get help, as she is not only dividing our family, but also our extended family. She has seen a psychologist and a therapist, but when they don't prescribe her the medications she wants, she's a nurse practitioner with a history of substance abuse. She just shit-talks them and refuses to see them again, saying they're all incompetent. Anyways, my aunt moved in with my grandma and provided excellent care to my grandmother for 15+ years. 2 years before she passed away, my grandma changed the will to leave everything to my aunt. My grandmother died 6 years ago. My aunt called me last week and she mentioned that my mother, who is bitter and angry about how the inheritance was all given to my aunt, is now blackmailing her for money. 6 years later, she has essentially said that if my aunt doesn't give her 1/3 of the inheritance, she's going to tell the family all my aunt's secrets. They're unfounded and false. Here's the thing: my aunt lost everything in a divorce 20+ years ago, and instead of getting a house on her own, she moved in with my grandmother, since she was declining and needed assistance. I feel she deserves the whole inheritance, as does the rest of the family. The worst part is that my mom is actually well off and has much more money than any of her siblings. I tried to talk to mom about this, but did it in a non-confrontational manner. I asked how her sister was doing and she openly admitted to blackmailing my aunt. My mother claims to be a devout Christian and is the type to throw Bible verses at you if she believes you're not living a Christ-fearing life. You know, the hypocritical super Christian type. I just mentioned that it seemed like she was holding a grudge and was allowing greed to cloud her judgment. I tried to provide active listening and emotional support, but she said you always side with everyone but me. Fuck you. I just responded with I would never side with someone who's blackmailing her sister for money. I love you and I feel like you're a good person. I just don't agree with this. She has since blocked me on her phone, social media, etc. and has also blocked me on my dad's phone. I suspect he doesn't even know. I have been considering going no contact for a while now, but I also known that she's struggling with mental health issues, so I wanted to be here for her. She has consistently made bad decision after bad decision and it's certainly difficult to watch. I know there's nothing I can do and I will not reach out to her. I wish her the best, but I'm hurt. I have no parents anymore. My little sister, 17F, is not responding to me now, even though I usually play video games with her several times a week. My brother, 26M, is acting cold, and even though I just sent him money for his birthday, he never said thank you, nor did he respond. I suspect my mom is spreading lies and trying to turn my family against me. I just feel alone. TL, doctor, mom, hypocritical super Christian type, is blackmailing her sister for 1/3 of the inheritance, even though my grandmother had a will and left it all to my aunt, her primary caretaker for 15+ years. When I attempted to talk to her about how unethical it is to blackmail her sister, she blocked me on everything and also blocked me on my dad's phone. I suspect he doesn't even know about the full situation, as my mom has history of lying or withholding truth. Now, my sister and brother aren't talking to me. I suspect she's turning them against me. Go nuclear and broadcast everything your mom is doing out on social media. Bonus points if you send all the info to her church as well as someone suggested. The only cure for people who pull this kind of shit is for them to experience strong social consequences. Whilst you're at it with this, get your aunt to lawyer up. Your aunt has a strong case against your mother for this. Your mom may be turning the family against you, but truthfully she doesn't sound like a very savvy manipulator. She's pretty transparent in her motivations from your description. It's more likely that your siblings are simply trying to keep their heads down and stay out of it in case she turns her wrath towards them. Your younger sister in particular has to be very motivated to keep the peace, since she's still dependent on your mother. It's not a courageous choice, but it's an understandable one. Regardless, there's little you can do. Your mom has been like this for a long time from the sound of it. You'll have to wait and hope that your siblings eventually come around, and that your mother eventually receives the psychiatric help she clearly needs. Lean on your aunt for support in the meantime, and offer her your support in return. You'll both need it. Blackmail is a crime. Time for your aunt to talk to a lawyer. As for the rest of your family, can you speak to them in person? Speak to your auntie and then put it out on blast on social media. Inform her church if she goes to one, even speak to the minister, vicar. Unsure or terms. Get him to do a sermon on blackmail. If the blackmail is lies and slander, then there can be no harm. Family and friends will start questioning her, they'll start asking awkward questions and her story will come apart. Threaten to expose a few details of her own. Everyone has something they keep private. I'm guessing trying to blackmail her sister is a secret she wants to keep. As for the brother that didn't say thank you, tell him once he's grown up he can come find you and apologizes for being a tool, then cut him out. They need a reality check. Hope it goes well whatever you do. First of all, you need to start getting ahead of the curve. Next time you're about to confront your mother and suspect she may paint you as the bad guy, and she will, you need to immediately call your brother, sister, and father and let them know the situation before you confront your mother. Secondly, tell your aunt to not speak to your mother at all over the phone or in person anymore. All correspondence should be over text or email only. Blackmail is a crime, and she needs every piece of documentation possible in case she needs to take legal action. How do I, 34 meters, be less sensitive and take things in stride when my pregnant partner, 27F, calls me names as a joke? Hey there, my partner is 15 weeks pregnant and her hormones are apparently making her short-tempered and she has always had a sassy and fiery personality. I think I have made it clear that I don't think swearing or name-calling is a healthy part of relationship, but she views such things in a very minor light. Last night I picked her up from work. I had my first day off alone for the majority of the time to myself, which was quite nice. Anyways, we are in the bedroom, and she couldn't remember if she took her prenatal vitamin for the day after I asked her. She went to take one just in case, and my memory tickled me, remembering that someone had said that she shouldn't take one if she wasn't sure because too much folic acid could be dangerous. I mentioned this and she said that the person who said that was the person helping in the vitamin section of the store, not one of the doctors we had seen. I asked her if she was sure and she leaned back and looked at me and said DDDD insert my name. I was a little taken aback and just said rude. She said / ____________ don't be such a pussy ! Actually not a pussy, since pussies are tough, you are more of a ball sack, and laughed. I said nothing, trying to calm my reaction. She then stated that she was going to take one. I took a moment to maintain my calm and then I picked up my phone to distract myself and she said if you are googling the folic acid thing, you can shove that phone up your ass. Explained, exasperated that I was just looking at my phone. Anyways, long story short, I went and had a couple of puffs of smoke, trying to quit before the baby comes. I come back and she flips out because I smoked. We get in a big argument and I end up threatening to leave her because I hate the way she talks to me. She claims she never says these things with hurtful or malicious intent, so I should not take it seriously and that I shouldn't try to change her. Anyways, if she doesn't mean these things in a mean way, how do I not care when she says things like that in a supposedly joking manner? I want this to work, because we have a child on the way, but I have never had a partner speak to me that way before. How do I not care about her saying those things? Do I try to be more like her and talk to her that way? Do I just shrug and dump my feelings? I should mention that she apologized in the morning, twice, and was pleasant, asked me how I was doing twice, but I didn't have the heart to tell her that I was still hurting. My feelings only seemed to upset her. I don't feel safe expressing any form of displeasure with her. Too long didn't read. Pregnant GF calls me a pussy, says she means it as a joke. Can I be less sensitive and not take it to heart? / edited to include her apology. What are you getting from this relationship that you can't get from someone who respects you? I want this to work, because we have a child on the way. Speaking as a kid who grew up with a dad much like your fiance, you need to get this shit nipped in the bud immediately before she turns it on a vulnerable child. Seconding the call for couples counseling, because this will fuck your kid up beyond all rational assistance. Speaking as a woman who's had 2 children, name calling isn't acceptable, hormones are not an excuse, and her not respecting you asking her to stop is her behaving badly. Being irritable or having mood swings due to fluctuating pregnancy hormones is normal, but you can still control the actual words that come out of your mouth. Her doubling down instead of apologizing is not acceptable behavior. Pregnancy makes it harder to control your emotions. Your actions are always under your control. An apology is worthless without changed behavior. You are not trying to change her. You are telling her that her actions harm you, and she has a choice: continue to harm you, or change herself. Any halfway decent person would like to not hurt their partner. Okay, having recently been pregnant and then having PPD/PPA, this sounds a lot more to me like your partner being a jerk than simply hormonal. I mean, lots of people are grumpy and hormonal and then immediately apologize when they hear the crappy thing that just erupted out of their own mouth. She doesn't get to tell you that you can't be hurt because she didn't mean it in a hurtful way. Did she think you would find her comments hilarious and charming? She knows she's being mean and now she is trying to make your inconvenient feelings go away. It's complicated, of course, because you're about to have a baby, but the frustrating new parent phase will only make this worse. You should try setting boundaries, but you also need to have the resolve to leave if she doesn't stop her abusive language. You deserve to be happy and you'll be a better dad if you give yourself the respect you need. My 27/F dad, 58/M, was more interested in bonding with his step-granddaughter, 3F, than my son, 18 months/M, but now that he knows who his dad, 29/M, is, he suddenly wants to be more involved. My dad remarried when I was 8, a few years after my mum passed away. I thought we were close, and I had a decent relationship with my stepmom, 55, and stepsister, 27, until this all went down. My stepsister and her husband have a 3-year-old daughter. When our parents found out she was expecting, they went all out. They let them move in with them, paid and did everything to set up a nursery, hosted a baby shower, etc. When they found out I was pregnant, my dad was incredibly cold and barely asked me about my health or the baby. Meanwhile, he was all over his step-granddaughter. The only nice thing they did for me was send me the baby blanket my mom embroidered for me when my son was born. They only came to see him after a whole month, and barely tried to visit after that and would make excuses when I tried to visit them. I got pregnant from ONS during an event I went to with my best friend. I had no idea who the dad was aside from a first name. When my family shunned me, I became obsessed with figuring out who the dad was. It took a lot of internet stalking and a whole month before I finally found his contact info. By this time, I was already 5 months pregnant. He was shocked when he found out but insisted he wanted to be a part of his child's life. We started dating/living together full time when our son was 9 months. I've withdrawn a lot from my family and so I never introduced them to my boyfriend. However, my grandmother has met him and insisted I include him during our video chats. A month ago, my dad was over at hers whilst she was video chatting me. She wanted to see our son, who was playing with his dad, so I asked him to bring him over. My dad saw him and started asking questions: who he was, what his job was, how long we've been together, etc. I tried to be vague, but I'm assuming my grandmother told him everything because he started asking me why I never told him I knew who the father was and why I never introduced him to him. Told him I didn't think he would care. Ever since, he's been asking non-stop to come see my son. My stepmother and stepsister have all asked to come over too. My stepsister sent me a long message about how she hopes our children will be as close as us and we should set up play dates. I really don't know what to do now. On one hand, I want my son to know his family, but I'm also very bitter that they only want to know him now that they know who his dad is. I really don't know what to do now, so any advice on how to proceed would be helpful. Too long didn't read. My dad was very cold when he found out I was pregnant and hasn't made an attempt to bond with my son, despite being very involved with his step-granddaughter. Now that he knows who his dad is, he suddenly wants to be involved.